Be careful. You might learn something.
Let's go.
You are now tuned in to the Factual Opinions Podcast with your hosts. I am Pharaoh. Straight facts.
What's up, world? Factual Opinions Podcast. This is season 4 finale. That's what I'm calling it, because we're wrapping things up and we got some big things planned for season 5. Hopefully be back in the studio over at Timeless Recording Studio for some episodes and some guests. It's your gracious host, I am Pharaoh, checking in with the Brown, Bruce Wayne, Big John.
Yes, sir.
And Will West, the best Nate.
You know it.
Two of the most popular brothers I ever seen in my life. It was so hard getting them back here on the show, man, because they are in demand. You know what I mean? But that's why I love my brothers, because everybody love them too. You know, you got to balance it out with the Grinch over here. But
here you go.
You know, so first of all, I love you two brothers. You know, I appreciate y'all and everything that y'all have done to support me in this show, which is your show also. Season 4, time has flown by, man.
For sure.
For sure, it has. Definitely has.
Man.
We appreciate every guest that has come on the show and supported us here. But I got an axe to grind, so I'm going to get into it right away. So the most exciting thing that has been going on is the college football playoff, gentlemen.
Hey, I love it.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
I know people was complaining about the 12-team playoff, but anytime you give me more football, especially competitive football, I love it.
Well, I can't lie. You know, I was against it initially, too. I thought at most it should have been expanded to 8, but it has given it a different feel, more of a March Madness type feel, if you will, with the 12-team playoff. We haven't really had too many, or if any, honestly, in my opinion, shockers or upsets.
Almost yesterday, but it ain't happened.
Well, yeah, almost Arizona State, almost beat Texas, but as Big Dave would say, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Sure.
So it didn't happen, but it has, like John said, given us more football. So you can't complain about that. And teams have really brought it this year because they were playing for something.
Now, if you go by, there hasn't been any upsets in my opinion, but if you go by seeding, the number 1 team and the number 2 team has fallen.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
You go by seeding.
Well, that's what needs to change is the seeding, if anything, and how they go about that. I think the right teams were chosen, but seeding definitely needs to change. Now, I have no remorse for Dan Lanning. Now, he wasn't jumping all around after this game, was he, Big John?
No, not at all.
He wasn't calling onside kicks and running all that trickery and stuff that resulted in him barely winning game in October in Eugene against the Buckeyes. So the reward for Oregon for being undefeated and the number 1 team, so-called, in the country was playing, shall we say, the hottest, most angry, violent team in the field
Sure.
right now. They really should have been playing Penn State's schedule.
Right.
They played SMU and Boise State to get to the semifinal, but again, they handled their business. But something I want to point out, and this goes out to Paul Feinbaum, Greg McElroy, Dave Pollitt, and a lot of other people. So the conference that from 1981 through 2005 won only 3 national championships. The conference that went on that little heater from 2006 to 2012, in which people lost their mind and ESPN invested monetarily in that conference, and that overhype, as I call it, post Tyler Perry, Lil Wayne, ATL hip hop, love and hip hop renaissance that took place from 2006 to 2012 is over. Okay. The old man retired, and even that school's entire history revolves around him and Bear Bryant. So let's just get to it. So South Carolina lost to Illinois. USC of the Big Ten opened the season by beating LSU, which is one of the SEC's sometimes favorites, and closed it by beating Texas A&M. Ohio State destroyed Rocky Top.
Yeah.
Michigan beat Alabama for the second year in a row. I don't want to hear this SEC stuff. And I've said repeatedly on here and continually to anybody that would listen that conference supremacy is a year-to-year thing. You don't know till the games are played what conference has the better teams and who's going to be better. Stop
Alex
with
is
this.
angry. He is angry.
Stop with because it's
No, I mean he's not saying nothing that's untrue.
He ain't.
Like,
That's
we have this conversation every year. You know, even when the SEC has had their run, every conference is top heavy. Every conference has 3 to 4 teams that can win and do damage, if that. And a lot of the times it's just 2 teams that can probably win it all in each conference. So,
but if you listen to
I will admit
ESPN,
that's a fact. Definitely.
but if you listen to ESPN, who, like I said, has a monetary reason for why they say and regurgitate the stuff that they do, and their bias that they have, you would think it's more pronounced than that. Because as we always say, when you're talking about, or when people say the SEC, you're talking about Alabama, Georgia, and sometimes LSU. No, I'm not giving you Auburn because Cam Newton would have did that anywhere. No, I'm not giving you Florida because their entire history revolves around the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. They haven't done anything prior or since those individuals roam the sideline. So I don't want to hear it. You give Georgia their 2 back-to-back championships, which I just said to Coach Neal, my former defensive coordinator that I coached under at Purcell, Marion, who had to throw in that back-to-back. I'm like, okay. And before that, you hadn't done anything since Herschel Walker in 1980. So we'll talk about them. We'll talk about 1 championship by Gene Stallings in 92 for Alabama. We're talking about the old ball coach in 96 and T. Martin in 98, excuse me, with the Volunteer. So for the majority of our lives, gentlemen, we're talking about, again, 1980 to 2005 when we were coming up. SEC had what, 3 or 4 championships, and then, like I said, that started that run from 2006 to 2012, and people completely lost their mind. ESPN invested in the SEC network, and we started having this. Oh, the SEC.
Yeah, I felt like that's when these networks start bubbling. All these networks start getting on channels and all this other stuff.
This is fair me because nobody says anything when Northwestern beats Vanderbilt, like, you know, or Minnesota pops Auburn, you know. Excuse me, Big Willie, and shout out to Big Willie Anderson for being a Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist again this year. Hopefully they do what they're supposed to do.
Please do right by Big Willie, please.
Already.
And hopefully, you know, when he does get in, you know, Alex, you accompany us when we go up there, man. Because
I will be there.
Me and O trying to make that a every year trip, man. So
I don't know about every year, but
what's the date on that?
I don't have an exact yet, but it's gonna be in August.
Yeah, it's always in August.
Yeah, I got to chill this August.
Yeah, we know.
Okay. I'm just reminding y'all.
Big Nate and Amber getting married, boy. I can't wait. Y'all gonna have something to drink at the
Jesus peace, huh?
Y'all gonna have something to drink at the reception?
It's open bar.
Ooh. I'm gonna be there, faded, boy. You know, every time one of my homies gets married, you know, I have to show up or show out because it's the closest that I'm going to get to getting married.
Oh
so,
my gosh!
So I live through them. You know what I mean? That's how we do it.
Don't do that.
But no, I can't wait for Nate and Amber, boy. I ain't gonna embarrass nobody. I'm just be happy to be there.
Right. Man, I just want everybody to have a good time, man. Just be there for my youngin.
No, but the reason I'm going overboard and, you know, exaggerating and bringing it up is because that's what SEC supporters and these networks do when the SEC wins. So I just want them to be realistic, transparent. I want Paul Feinbaum and the rest of them to eat their words and acknowledge when the SEC has become average. And I've said for the past 3 years, I felt like they've fallen off. And this year, the bottom kind of fell out a little bit, to be honest.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with nothing you said, but the things that anger me is when people come on there, you know, like McElroy or whatever, and be mad that Alabama didn't make it, which they had a 3-loss season. There has to be a punishment.
2 of them was terrible.
You have
terrible losses.
You have to have a punishment for not handling your business. You don't get rewarded because you're Alabama. There has to be a punishment for not handling your business. As much as I love my Canes, they didn't finish the job. They didn't do what they were supposed to do, so they don't deserve to be there. It is what it is. And then you even furthermore got proved that you didn't deserve to be there because you turned around and lost to a 5-6 win Michigan team. After losing to a 5 or 6 win Oklahoma team. After losing to Vanderbilt, who actually had a pretty decent season this year.
What was they 5-5? What is it, 4 and something?
They won. They were bowl eligible. They were like 7. They won 7, 8 games this year. Probably more, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Vanderbilt had a decent season this year. But you don't deserve to go. And like
Vanderbilt had a first of all, where's Dewan at? He gonna make me call him. He ain't even in here right now.
He ain't gonna say nothing bad.
He didn't.
Where's Dewan at?
I talked to Dewan yesterday, and Dewan.
And as much as I love my big cousin JP, and he sent me messages about why Alabama deserved to be in there, but they don't.
No, they don't at all.
With them losing this bowl game, it furthermore proves that they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been there at all.
And so when you say some things about Indiana or Notre Dame or SMU, they handled their business. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, they came up short in a 12-team playoff because the first rounds are the first rounds for a reason.
Let me quote Big John, though. Let me quote my brother. Because some people, including Greg McElroy, after Indiana lost to Notre Dame, started making comments such as, I don't know why everybody assumes the Big Ten and the SEC is head and shoulders above everybody else. And then he could have just left it at that. But he says, especially the Big Ten. And I'm like, Greg McElroy, now he's pivoted some now and tried to say, Ohio State's clearly the best thing. Now you admit that.
Oh, now you're going there.
After the 2 ass whoopings. But, at the end of the day, you didn't have to say that just because Indiana lost. Indiana was a good football team this year. As Big John would say, sometimes an apple is just an apple. They lost to a better team in Notre Dame. And that first round, every favorite or home team won. So there were no upsets. So that means that the committee picked it right, in my opinion.
And let's just make it even more simpler. When I have more pieces on the chessboard than you, then what does that mean? There were at least 3 Big Ten teams left. There was only 1 SEC team left, and it was on other than Tennessee. It was only 2 of them to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, we got to remember Texas SEC.
Now. I don't count Texas as an SEC team.
I know you don't.
I mean, they play in the SEC now,
but if you don't count them, you have to take away my argument for Oregon. So you don't count them as a Big Ten team either. But if you're going to say how many pieces,
they're not. To me, they're Pac-12.
That's fine. Then that's perfectly fine that you feel that way. I'm just saying, while they're riding with whatever banner they're riding with, Big Ten still had the most pieces on the chessboard. At the end of the day.
And where is Tony Bray at?
Was it 5 teams in the 12? 5 out of the 12? Or was it 6 out of the 12?
Penn State, Indiana, O State, Oregon. That's 4. Yeah, they had 4. They had 4 teams. They had 4 teams in it. But I'm just saying what was left over after everything. But
know what I hate though? Like I hate when stuff like this happens and everybody gets radio silent. There's no Charles Lawrence.
Everybody been quiet.
There's no Tony Bray. There's none of the usual suspects. Even your brother Calvin was very quiet, other than saying Oregon got to pass the sticks. Shout out to Ash for her event down in Louisville, the Cooking Queen down there. She got mad because I DM'd her personally, too. She probably didn't even remember what she said, but like I told you, I got a photographic memory, so I was coming for everybody. I couldn't find the comment that she said in October because I was going to respond to that specifically.
I need to call her too because I need to figure out where my name badge. I'm on the staff. And
there he is, man. I was waiting on it. What's up, young Tony in the house, man? Tony? I just mentioned you, brother. I was waiting on you to come through, man. First of all, shout out to you Wolverines for upholding the honor of the Big Ten Conference and beating Roll Tide. So appreciate that. But I'm kind of upset, man, because I messaged you last night too, and just said 2 question marks, and you looked at it and didn't say nothing. You knew exactly what I was talking about, brother.
Everybody was hungover yesterday, bro. You gotta think.
That's fine, but Tony was the first person to tag me back in October when the Ducks escaped with that, improbable 1-point victory in which they had to run all those trick plays.
Tony gonna talk his shit though.
And onside kicks and everything to win. But no, I'm just saying, but he didn't tag me this time, and I felt very disappointed that he didn't tag me this time, man. You got to be consistent.
They only tag you when you're down, bro.
They said, "Oh, so now you want to talk?" But I'm just saying, man. You got to keep it even, man.
But the reason why, man, we talk about this all the time, and I can even say, Nate, when it comes to basketball, it's a difference when you have your own rooting interest and then you're a fan of the game entirely. I may love
like I'm watching my Celtics run amok right now.
Yeah, I may love my Canes, but I have no bias. Like if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they don't do what they're supposed to do. So you have to have a level of respect for the game. It's okay to be a fan. It's okay to like who you like, but don't let that overcloud your judgment when it comes to the X's and O's and what you see in front of your face.
Right.
That's it.
That's my thing. Everybody is just so talkative when the chips are down and somebody loses. But I mean, the old saying, you could hear a rat pissing on cotton right now, especially those that don't like, Ohio State.
Right.
Because it was just real quiet a couple weeks ago.
Oh, it was devastation after the
I'm with you, Tony.
loss.
I am with you, Tony, on that. I want to see the black coaches, but I'm still an Ohio State guy. I can't go against the Ohio State.
Notre Dame was one of my black horses, man, to do damage. I didn't think
you said that. Yeah, Big John, you called that early.
I didn't think they would win the national championship, but I called them a dark horse to do some damage. I knew they was going to upset some people.
Let me say
black
this.
Coach still alive.
Let me say.
He don't look black, but he black.
He's black.
Penn State.
No, I ain't talking about Notre Dame, Coach. Who's the other one?
James Franklin from Penn State.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Now, let me say this. I've been a defender of James Franklin since he got to Penn State. I think he's done the same, if not better, than he did at Vanderbilt. He won in a situation where the chips wasn't exactly stacked for him to win. And outside of not beating Ohio State, he's been as successful as any Big Ten coach during his run.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Penn State fans need to chill and, just remember what you got, because Joe Pa ain't coming back from the grave no time soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Secondly, Marcus Freeman, a brother that I have the utmost respect for and root for as long as he's not playing or coaching against the Ohio State University, because this is the brother that I
think he will be coaching against the Ohio State
that I knew personally. This is a brother that I knew personally and had many conversations sitting over there in the barbershop in Bond Hill with, God rest his soul, my former barber Jihad. And this dude was gracious enough to talk Buckeye football with me while he was the defensive coordinator for the University of Cincinnati. And we would sit there and talk for as long as either one of us was sitting there waiting to get our hair cut over there. And the guy that remembers your name, the next time, he sees you. Very intelligent brother, and you have to give him respect because Notre Dame was not the typical operation. It's very hard to win there.
Out after 2 years if you ain't winning games.
Yeah, it's very hard to win there. They still have the expectations that they had, back in the day, win one for the Gipper and Luck at Irish and all of that. When it's clearly not the same type deal, they have restrictions as far as recruiting because of their academic standards, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, but, just makes it harder to win. So I have the utmost respect, for him. The players love playing for him, but, the hell with both of them while my Buckeyes are still.
It don't matter right now. It don't matter. You absolutely correct.
Speaking of the matchup that's about to happen, that's about to be ugly football, but I love it though. It's gonna be a defensive game. I feel like.
Oh yeah, Penn State.
It's gonna be. It may mess around and be that Alabama LSU 6-7 win. It may be that ugly. It may be that.
Yeah, it's gonna be an ugly game. I ain't even gonna hold you. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
dog
I
fight.
just can't believe that Ash didn't, make a post wishing, Oregon or congratulating them on a good game like she did back in October.
She won.
Why she did, man? She's not.
See,
Bruh.
John like to play
She don't even
favorites,
watch
man.
football.
I'm not, bro. She
John
watches
like to play favorites and protect people, which I
It's not
admire.
playing favorites. I call it spade a spade. She watches football because she's a fan of football, but she don't know nothing about.
She don't know nothing about football, bro. She only watching football.
She knew enough to wish Oregon and congratulate them a good game back in October.
And you talking crazy. You already know the reason why.
I'm talking crazy. I'm talking facts.
I didn't say you weren't talking facts, but you still talk crazy because you know the reason why they doing it. Like, excuse my language, and ladies, I don't mean this as disrespect for those who do know the game of football. Like most women, they just have their own rooting interest and they go for it. They don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's just like she one of them girls who like, ooh, I like their jerseys. I'm
like just like I ain't gonna name her name because you went to school with her. Just like, oh, I like the Seahawks. Why do you like the Seahawks? Oh, you like them because they won that one championship with the Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson, and now you a Seahawks fan.
Makes no sense.
Did you tag everybody, Nate? Did you tag Brewski and the rest of them?
I did. Oh, let me go back in here and do them.
Dang, man.
And you think they got pretty uniforms. That's why you like them. I don't even know why you like them.
Young Tony said there's never been a black coach to win the Natty that needs to happen. We'll hire Dude to come back to Earth too. Yeah, you keep saying that, but it ain't happening. So
right now, here's the thing.
It's not really Will Howard, and that's another thing. I'm sorry, Big John, to cut you off. I wanted to get to the problem is Ohio State has more or less, speaking of the players, played the same the entire year. People don't get that. They're acting like this is a revelation and whatever. Yeah, they're playing a bit more angry and pissed off because of what happened on November 30th and, the backlash and the talk that's come from that. But the players, I don't believe, showed up flat to any game. I don't believe they underachieved. It was a coaching catastrophe that happened on November 30th. It was Ryan Day listening to people like Lou Holtz and letting that third base comment with Jim Harbaugh get under his skin and trying to prove that he could play a certain way and match up, physically instead of catering towards what his advantages were and the athletes that we have in space and kicking Michigan's ass like they were supposed to. Had him and the most expensive offensive coordinator in the country, Chip Kelly, coached the way they've coached the last two games and dialed up the plays that they did and getting Jeremiah Smith in space and utilizing Emeka Ibuka, coming back with Cardinal Tate when you start countering on and doubling those other two that I just mentioned, the score would have been the same against Michigan. Now, y'all can sit here and act, however you want to act because you root for a certain team. But I've had realistic football fans that root for Michigan that told me, bro, we didn't have no business winning that game. And that's just a fact, at the end of the day.
Right. And to go to the comment that Tony just made, it's not even about Will Howard. The best team left on the board still is Ohio State. Now, the best quarterback still left in the playoff. I will give that to Quentin Ewers, but he doesn't have the best team right now. The best team playing the best.
I don't know about that. I was listening to the Colin Cowherd's show on YouTube with his guest. I can't remember his name, but the former NFL scout. He was saying he don't trust Quinn Ewers or Edwards, however you pronounce it, and that he throws a lot of bad.
There's a lot of people that don't trust him.
Bad balls and interceptions like
when
he
I'm
did
hearing Texas
yesterday.
fans say I don't trust him. That's how bad it is.
Okay, here's the thing. We know, first of all, the young man has took him to a college playoff 2 years in a row. You know why they're saying this, because they're waiting on the next coming of the Mannings to happen. Let this man finish out this season.
Man, let me help Nate out. He ain't even tag Meach.
You may not trust him, but talent wise, right now.
Tag Meach? Which
did you?
My bad.
Talent wise, just quarterback talent wise, he's the best quarterback.
I ain't get Kareem. I can't never find Kareem name because his name changed.
It's Anthony Muhammad.
Okay, hold on.
But make sure you tag Weeds, please.
All right.
Coach White, KO.
I got you.
ACH.
What's Kareem's White?
Anthony Muhammad. No, I understand what Tony is saying. Um, but this is where my bias comes in. I'm not looking for anyone to have a John Thompson, moment, right now with my Buckeyes still in it. I'm just being honest. But like I said, Will Howard is only doing what he was asked and had to do at the beginning of the year, which is get the ball to his playmakers and let them do what they do. Now, yes, he's thrown some dots, but again, a lot of that is drawn up. He's taking 1-2 step drops, he's letting it go. He's not really having to think. He's going through 1 or 2 progressions at most. If you go back and look at the Michigan game, there were a lot of times where he was dropping back and he's thinking, he's not knowing where he's supposed to go with the ball before the snap. Things that played into it. And that's where you get to the minute details of football where, like I said, I don't really want to single anybody out, but like I said, I have people like Carrie Ann that, likes to, troll and stuff. And it's like, okay, Michigan won. Yes, they did. They won last year, their second national championship since colored TV and face masks were invented. And no, that's not a jab. That's the truth. If you go look it up. And even the championship in '97 was a split national championship with Nebraska. I'm just, these are the facts. You don't have to get mad at me. Just, go look it up. Because other than that, you had to go back to 1948. But at the end of the day,
that's a long time. God.
Yeah, I know, because they love to quote that 12 national championships, and I'm like, yes, but 10 of them happened before 1948. Like, come on, man. Like, be realistic about it. Like who you like, but be realistic about it, man.
I want to say something, but I'm gonna leave that alone.
And at the end of the day, even as a fan of college football, there used to be some entertainment value in watching Lloyd Carr's Michigan Wolverine, teams.
They low-key had a swagger at that time, though. They did have a swagger.
Well, they had players. They had Anthony Thomas.
They had some players.
They had Charles Woodson. They had Lamar Woodley, Marlon Jackson, Leon Hall, Chris Perry. Guys that went on to play and on Sunday. Steve Breston. Exciting guys to watch. Braylon Edwards. My favorite. And only Wolverine football player that I would actually say I was a
Tom Brady
fan of. Well,
everybody I know. I just had to throw that out there because he played in Michigan.
See, they claim Tom Brady now, but
of course, yeah, they didn't claim him back then. They hated him.
John knows this. They tried to replace him 3 different times when he was there.
Yeah,
Steve Dreisbach, Drew Henson. And
they wanted Drew Henson to play so bad.
Jesus, what was they? Brian Greasy.
Right.
They benched Tom Brady his senior year.
Yep, I remember that.
And to his credit, when it didn't work, they came back to him because I would have told him.
F off.
I would said, no,
F off.
No, coach, keep Drew Henson in there. At the end of the day. But no, I mean, I just had to highlight that because the media will and other people will highlight it if an SEC team beats a Big Ten team. But they had a horrible postseason this year. They had another overrated year as a conference, to be honest. And then what kills me is when you say something, these people get radio silent. So Neil said, bro, I was born in 88. I can't speak on that. The SEC been on top since I've been watching college football. Well, then you still suffer from recency bias.
Hold on. Well, he said
Sylvester Neal, the defensive coordinator at Purcell that me and Brewski, coach with.
I was born in 88 too, and I kind of disagree, brother. I can't say that. Now, like Alex said, they've been on top for the past 12 years, but not since 88, my guy, if you want to be technical.
Not since 88. I ain't Nah.
Now, if you want to say the past 12 years, yeah, but not that, because you have so many other teams that were dominating. Whether it was my guys, whether it was USC, whether it was Ohio State, whether it was Oklahoma, Florida State. Nah, they weren't dominating like that, brother. Hell, even Michigan with that one with Charles Woodson, they weren't dominating like that. Now, that 12-year stretch, sure. Nick Saban era, sure. But after that, no. It was too much parity when we were kids. It wasn't even close.
It wasn't at all.
So let's see. We got Georgia in 80. We got Alabama 92 with Gene Stallings. Florida 96.
T. Martin.
So that's 5 from 1980 to 2005 when we grew up.
Right.
What, SEC?
Yes.
We got to remember them years with Florida.
But that's we counting.
I said from 1980 to 2005.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm about to say that old fact. I think they won.
So it was pretty much, our childhood and teen years.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And again, no, I'm not counting Florida because they only won those because of the old ball coach and Urban Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can count the old ball coaches win in the 90s. We can count that. That's fine.
I just said 96.
Yeah. Now,
and then if you give Urban Meyer his 2 down there, but again, Urban Meyer won at Bowling Green. Urban Meyer went undefeated at Utah. I don't count that because that's not sustained success by that university. Their entire history revolves around Steve Spurrier winning one as a player back in the 1960s and one as a head coach in 1996, and Urban Meyer's 2 championships. They haven't done anything before or after that at all, or even come close.
Now, the only reason why I disagree with you on that, and we've had this conversation, because that's a lot of schools. That's not just them. It can be said about Florida State. Their history is based on Boughton and that one with Jimbo Fisher. You can say that about a lot of schools. A lot of schools don't have sustained history of winning. It's only really been like, I want to say maybe 4 to 5 programs that have had that sustained winning, whether it be Ohio State, whether it be Michigan, USC to a point, Oklahoma to a point. So a lot of teams who do win championships is probably a group of 2 to 3 coaches within their history. So I can't really knock that for that. I mean, that's just my little 2 cents.
Okay, you can't knock it for it, but again, I'm not giving the entire conference credit for Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Cam Newton, and a couple that LSU snuck out. Sorry.
But then you're gonna have to wipe away.
I mean, Joe Burrow was part of that.
If you do that,
sneak out.
But if you do that, then you're gonna have to wipe away other schools' history too, not just the SEC, because it happens more often than not. Yeah, you have a great coach. Great coaches are going to win.
See, but y'all missing I'm making a very minute point. If you're going to claim an entire conference's supremacy because of a basically 6-year run that they had from 2006 to 2012 and erase the rest of college football history, like Neil's dumbass just said, in this comment, then you have to do that for everybody.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and claim it when it works out in your favor and you win. And like I said, Georgia in particular, however many pros they, developed and whatever, and I'm not taking away from them because a lot of them played for the Bengals and stuff too. But don't sit here and talk trash because you had a 2-year run like the Florida Gators of basketball with Joakim Noah and you hadn't won one since 1980 before.
Right.
Like that's that selective stuff that I'm talking about.
Right. Because even on the basketball side, if you want to say it like that, even with the SEC, I mean not the SEC, Jesus, the ACC. So other than Duke and North Carolina, do you wipe away everything the ACC has done? Because that's all they really had, for real. If you want to count that one that North Carolina State got, it's just been Duke and North Carolina. Like,
Right. This is my opinion on the SEC. The only national championship I ain't gonna knock, and because our quarterback was on that team, is the LSU one. and our wide receiver. I'm not knocking them. That's the only one I ain't knocking.
This mean a football guy. I'm not knocking no kid that wins a national championship.
For sure, you can't. It's a once in a lifetime experience.
But I agree with what Alex is saying. But like I said,
I'm with what Al's saying. But at the same time, it's certain people and certain players I look at them
like I said, through the history,
I get biased sometimes.
Through the history of college football, it's only 5 programs that have won with multiple coaches. It ain't been too many that their history ain't built around 2 or 3 coaches.
That's true.
It ain't too many. So
I mean, that makes my point even more.
Yeah, for sure. That's why we wasn't going against the grain.
Has been winning since 1942 when Paul Brown, first, won there. Even John Cooper's a Hall of Famer. Even Earl Bruce is a Hall of Famer. Jim Tressel's a Hall of Famer. Urban Meyer will be a Hall of Famer. So that just makes my point again about the sustained, excellent versus, a school that can't keep it done. Because let's face it, a lot of people. And I don't know where the hell DeJuan at. He's probably running because he don't want to hear my wrath, right now. I told my cousin Bernard also down there in Birmingham, who was fuming to my man, we should have beat the brakes off of Michigan. Well, but you didn't. And you lost 2 years in a row, to him. And you were the first one to text me after Ohio State lost to him saying, damn, good game, cuz, being funny when that happened. But, I kind of let him off the hook, but I did text him on New Year's Eve. I said, damn, cuz, Big Ten got you too, huh? And that's 2 years in a row, man. Like, at the end of the day, I just think people are so biased on the schools and teams that they like. It prevents them from having any type of logical conversation about college football. And that's what irritates me sometimes. Everybody knows I bleed scarlet and gray. I got a goddamn tattoo, on my arm, but I can have a logical conversation. The first person I had a conversation with following the Ohio State Michigan game was Jeremy Triggs, a lifelong, Michigan fan. And it wasn't about trolling each other, none of that. I mean, we were literally reflecting, talking about the game and what, Michigan had to do to win that game, which they did. And just, the game itself, and him even critiquing, like, why didn't y'all do this? Why didn't Ohio State, do this? I'd rather have those conversations than people that are just totally stuck on their team and can't see beyond that. That's just me.
I'm glad he treats you like that because he don't treat me like that.
But man, like I told Al, even after that game, and I had a conversation with a gentleman that works for CBS that actually played for Michigan, and he was like, I was totally shocked. He said, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he's just a football guy. Even though he played there, he's an alumni from there. He gave his honest opinion. He said, we did what we were supposed to do, but I didn't think we were going to do that. I don't know.
Y'all can keep the conversation going because I do have to respond to some of these.
There you go, man. But yeah, like I said, man, like I said, it makes your point to an extent. But like I said, I don't penalize a program for having just 2 winning coaches. Like that just happens. A great coach is a great coach. If you are a coach for over 20, 15 years and you win multiple championships, it just is what it is. So hell, if Franklin ends up winning, and I'm not saying he is, do you penalize him? Because the only thing Penn State had for the past 60 years was Joe Pa. And how many did he get? 1 or 2?
Yeah, but
did he get?
Yeah, because one of them,
Joe Pa got 2 national championships.
One of them he beat my guys, so I know he got at least 1.
Yeah, he got 2.
Yeah, so he was there for 60, 70 years. He spent his whole life, being a Penn State guy. So, if Franklin does the impossible and actually does pull it off, Penn State will be one of those schools too, even in the Big Ten, where they're all their history is from 2 coaches. I don't know.
Franklin get a national championship, they will give him a statue.
No, they won't.
You don't think so?
And they treat James Franklin like garbage in Happy Valley, man. And that's just being the honest truth. You know, if he wins, and this is from another guy that was on Unsportsmanlike with Chris Canny and that chick in the morning. It was like, you know, even if Ryan Day wins the national championship, he'll get a little bit of rope in Columbus, but Ohio State fans are still gonna want him to beat that team up north.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's matter.
And to a certain degree, James Franklin is being treated the same way in Happy Valley. If he don't beat Ohio State, did you see the way fans was treating him and heckling him even after that game and stuff?
Yeah, true. That was pretty bad.
I get that, and I understand certain programs have certain standards they want to meet. But not to be funny, how dare you? Because what have you won? Like I said, we know Joe Pa has won those national championships in the past. That was like 30, 40 years ago, my guy. Like, I understand, you know, we are Penn State and all that and Happy Valley. I get all that. But what have you won? Well, like, the audacity of you to treat somebody like that and you ain't won nothing.
The audacity of you.
They have the same beliefs that Notre Dame and the rest of them have, that they believe that they are, you know, amongst college football's elite and it's their birthright, you know, to be in the conversation. Some people do remember Penn State being a top 10 team.
Okay,
what did you say? What did he say on live? Like, who was that? Ray? Yeah, that was Ray.
That was Ray.
Like, I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you believe.
You believe what you want. What he say? What he say? If ifs was fifth, we all be drunk. You can believe what you want, but what the facts are is you haven't won anything since my father was a child.
That's crazy.
You know what? Because that's the same problem, and the only problem because
we call your daddy school. They ain't want nothing.
I'm not. Look, pivoting to the NFL a little bit. I'm not a Cowboys hater like some people are. You know, I'm not a fan, but I don't. Y'all know me. I'm a tradition nut. So you know, I respect the history of the Dallas Cowboys and what they did for the NFL. Blah blah blah, and admire some of their players. But by the same token, a lot of them, especially in our lifetime, are stuck on what happened during the 90s. A lot of the old heads, like Big John are talking about, are stuck with Captain America, 90s, aka Roger Staubach in the 70s with Tony Dorsett and Ed Too Tall Jones, who for whatever reason my godmother and my cousin Don stopped talking to. Can't believe that. Yeah. So people get stuck on that though, Big John. I mean, hell, let's be real. We have a different view of the Miami Hurricanes than the present generation do.
Yeah. But I've admitted that. But like I said, I'm an unbiased fan. So I've been, even when y'all been trying to give my guys credit and I've been downplaying it, like, you know what, leave it alone. Because they always build me up to let me down. And they did the same thing this year. But the problem is I'm not an unrealistic fan. Even we have this conversation about, they don't do it now because now they down in the dumps. But every year, the past 20 years, Oklahoma gets ranked in the top 10, top 5. And every time they get smacked.
That was the beginning of the year. They was ranked top 10.
And for a while, even though Notre Dame has had a couple good years with Kelly, and now they on the upswing, they were the same way. They would keep getting ranked high, keep getting beat up. But people are unrealistic fans. They go off the name of who they were, not what they are. They're not being
or emotion pulling them heartstrings.
So, like I said, how dare you treat Franklin like crap, and y'all ain't won nothing, like I said, since my father was a child. My father is closer to 70 than he is 60.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't Penn State go undefeated with Kajana Carter and them in what was it, 94?
Yeah, but
Kerry Collins is the quarterback.
They didn't win nothing. Did they share something or did they win something?
They had to share something. Right? If they didn't, they were still undefeated. They were probably the best team in college football that year, though.
Let me look it up. Yeah, and I remember that team with Joe Jared Vicious and all them. Yeah, I remember that team.
Yeah, look it up and see what they want. Well, I'm just saying, like, but see, this is my thing though. While I agree with you, Big John, I felt the same way as a UC basketball fan. Like, even though we had fallen on hard times and made a wrong decision hiring John Brandon after, Cronin left or whatever. And, we talked about this with Tony Baloney and some of the UC greats that we've had on this show. I'm not going to lower the standards because things have changed to a degree or we hit a low and aren't, winning on the same level. Okay. Like, that's not my job or responsibility to lower the standards if that's what we're accustomed to.
Okay. Penn State national championship in 82 and 86. Those are claimed national championships outright.
Right, but what happened in 94?
They had an unclaimed national championship. They were 12-0 in 94.
They destroyed Eddie because neither the media nor the coaches actually officially awarded Penn State the national championship, but they claimed the national championship themselves. It was like a few years ago when Central Florida did that, when they went undefeated.
Back when there was the BCS, you could have several undefeated teams, and they probably would never play.
But see, that's pre-BCS though. That's
pre-BCS.
That's when the media or the AP poll named their national champions, and the coaches poll named their national championship. That's why what we had in '97, where Nebraska was named national champion by the coaches, and the media named Charles Woodson of Michigan national championship. Right. So that's why we went to the BCS, hoping that the computer would solve all of that. We have one national champion, and then people didn't like that. And now we got, the college football playoff.
Yeah, because I remember them couple years they was mad about the Florida State winning the national championship in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, because we had, like, for instance, 2003 was another split national championship. USC won because the journalists, the AP poll gave them the national championship. The coaches gave LSU with Nick Saban the national championship.
Right.
I remember that.
And then I believe it was the next year, Auburn went undefeated and nobody gave them nothing.
Gave them nothing.
With Jason Campbell and Cadillac Williams and the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
they had two running backs, Cadillac Williams and what was it?
Ronnie Brown.
Ronnie Brown.
See, I'm old enough to remember where at the end of the year the coaches and the media voted on who the national champion was.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I just flipped my words with the BCS, but yeah, I got you. Yeah. But yeah, so I remember that Penn State team with Joe Jaravicius and Curtis Enos and Kajana Carter. I remember that team.
Yeah, see, we on there. You started your diet.
This is all I can snack on.
I'm good on that. It's what's in this cup that I need to.
Yeah, I ain't kicked that either, bro. We on the same
thing. Yeah. See, we's on there getting weak because Neil making me go in, on him. I'm like, bruh, nobody cares that you were born and raised in the state of Georgia. I'm gonna be honest. And if it was that great, why ain't you still down there?
But not even that. But not even that. Like I said, you was born in '88. They hadn't won since '81. You weren't even alive yet. So that's crazy.
So the vast majority of our lives until those back-to-back titles a couple years ago, you have nothing to talk about.
Right.
Some close calls with Mark Richt and some decent NFL players produced.
Yeah.
That's about all you can talk about, right?
Yeah. Y'all had some dogs come through there. Y'all had some great players.
For sure.
But that's the thing. Like, and I used to say that about cats, that live here or in Columbus from Cleveland and just swear up and down Cleveland is the best city in the state of Ohio and blah, blah, blah. Why aren't you still there? Because if something's that damn dope and I enjoy it that much and I'm born and raised there, then I'm not going to leave it. Why aren't you still there? And I never get a good answer from anybody either. My boy John that I used to go to UC with, that we saw, after homecoming and stuff that came back in from Chicago, he was born and raised in the suburbs of Cleveland. I would ask him the same thing. If it's that dope, why aren't you still there? Why didn't you attend Cleveland State? Why did you come all the way down here to the University of Cincinnati if
because Cleveland
is that dope? Now, I like his answer though. At least he gave me a credible answer. His answer was, at the time I loved UC's basketball program, and I thought all the other colleges academically were pretty much the same. I came down here because of the great basketball program, and they fired Bob Huggins before my freshman year even started. So I'll take that answer.
That's acceptable.
But at the end of the day, that's my thing. Like, people really be on social media, like, arguing heavy because of a clear bias that they have for a particular team or school.
But bias is a thing that happens with sports, though.
Yeah, but they don't see it though. For somebody that actually is a sports journalist and loves the sport itself more than my individual, rooting interest, it gets kind of irritating because, see, I'm looking at it and analyzing and having conversations for the love of the game, for the love of the sport, not because I'm a Bengals fan or not because I'm an Ohio State or Lakers fan or whatever. I want to talk ball. I don't want to talk, allegiances and not even making, sentences or fragments that make sense and people just on here because I like their uniforms or because I like a certain player or because I was born in the state of Georgia.
Well,
Who gives a shit where you was born?
Let me ask you this. Am I biased because I'm a Bengals fan? Because I'm from the city of Cincinnati. I like the Bengals.
Probably in certain conversations, yeah.
But
you see what I'm wearing right now.
Like, on the conversation then,
but Nate, the difference between you and other fans, if your team is not there or your team is fucking up, you're not. Excuse my language. If your team is messing up, you're not going to stand on and die on that hill. You're going to be objective against that. You're not just going to say, "Well, I don't care. It's just the Bengals or nothing. They ain't doing this." If you see a problem, you're going to point out that problem. Just like with me and my Hurricanes. Like I said, bro, we ain't won nothing since 01, 2000. Like, I can't puff my chest out like we the greatest thing, and it is what it is. Now we're getting better. We've had good seasons in between, but it's not.
I got a lot of recruits coming in.
Yeah, it's not the same caliber of player that we were getting. We're not winning the games we were winning. It's not the same. So I can be objective. I can give credit where credit is due. Like, the best example I can give, and Alex can attest to this. We was up at Central State, and one day we got to talking about receivers and different players. Now, it is what it is. You like who you like. Your top 5 can be your top 5. But the gentlemen that were there were literally discrediting Chris Carter, who at the time was second all time behind Jerry Rice in every category. But they were talking about this man like he was trash. How do you? I'm missing. Like, I know during that time Randy Moss came along. They had Jake.
Yeah, that's bad.
All this other stuff and Terrell Owens, but literally at the time, Chris Carter was second all time in every category behind Jerry Rice, and they was talking about this man like he was a misfit.
Yeah, like he wasn't there.
You can like who you like. You can like who you like. You can root for whoever you want to root for. You can think this player is top notch, but the numbers don't lie. This man is a Hall of Famer, and he was second everything behind Jerry Rice. And there's people to this day that still haven't called Jerry Rice. So, come on, man. Like who you like, but be objective.
They don't have the ability to be objective. It's like the whole conversation as we pivot to the NFL about why Joe Burrow deserves to be the MVP. People's Bengal bias, like LaShawn McCoy, prevents them from having a logical conversation about it. He made one of the dumbest, takes that I've ever heard, and saying, well, if the numbers mean so much and he's so great, why is his team's record what it is? LaShawn, you played at the highest level of the sport, the ultimate team game, and you can't tell me the answer to that question? Are you just trolling? Are you just being Skip Bayless and going against the grain? The answer to your question is because he doesn't play defense. because he doesn't play special teams, because he doesn't kick field goals. He can only do his job, which he's done an exceptional job and completely torched the NFL this year, leading in passing touchdowns and passing yards. Right now he's over 4,500 yards passing, 42 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's the freaking MVP, and it's the way he plays the game. And his record against Patrick Mahomes and his record against Josh Allen and other elite quarterbacks when he plays them. Like, stop acting stupid.
We're feared.
No. Let me finish. Stop acting stupid, LeSean McCoy. Taking the Bengals to the Super Bowl for the first time since 1988. Stop acting stupid, LeSean McCoy. Stop cooning on TV.
I agree with what you said. But
I ain't got nothing to say.
Even if you feel like Lamar Jackson is the MVP, or if you feel like Josh Allen's the MVP, Joe Burrow can still be in the conversation. But when you say things about that, it kind of takes away from the award, because it's like, so if that's the case, every guy that gets voted MVP should win the Super Bowl, right? If that's the case. But that doesn't happen all the time. Actually, that rarely happens. A lot of times the guy that does win the MVP don't really do that, is out of the playoffs or one and done, or doesn't even go sometimes. That happens a lot. That doesn't happen, that's not sparingly. That happens a lot. All those MVPs that Aaron Rodgers won, he got one Super Bowl. So that don't really happen a lot, brother. But like you said, he can't kick, he can't tackle anybody. That's what he does. He's a quarterback. He's doing his job. Just like them making the MVP a quarterback only award. Saquon Barkley can only run the ball. He's in the conversation. He's having a tremendous season. It's been a couple running backs that could have won it the past couple years, but it's been the quarterback award for some reason. So you mean to tell me all these great running backs, all these great receivers we had, and the last non-quarterback that's won the award was AP? But yeah. Brother, come on, man. I know you try to talk to the people, man. We got to get through the show.
Nah, man, because it's like he says stupid stuff. And for somebody that does know the game, and as I said the same thing to him, like, again, if you love Georgia so much, man, move back. They should have enough jobs and opportunities and stuff down there. And then his response was, is it year 2005 or 2025? Keep past 2005. And I said, so again, let's keep it current. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I said USC beat 2 SEC teams this year, LSU and Texas A&M. Michigan beat Roll Tide, the SEC's golden child, for the second year in a row. OSU completely destroyed Tennessee and cracked the quarterback's helmet on the way to doing so. Illinois defeated South Carolina. And like I told you, your Bulldogs just lost to Notre Dame. Let's keep it current. let's keep it current. Yeah, we'll keep it all current. And you know what? That's my thing. You know what I want, and I know it ain't gonna happen, but I'm just gonna say it. You know what I want our people to do a better job of is accepting constructive criticism and or facts. I'm not saying all people don't struggle with it, but black folk, boy, they will double down on some stuff. You could present them facts, and they'll still come up with some bullshit response or reason why. And it's like, stop being, I can't say the word, but it's like, stop being because that's just ignorant. Like, if somebody presents you with facts, you can love a team, you can love an organization, you can love an entertainer, record label, a company, hell, a retailer, a merchant. That's fine. If you a Target person and you like shopping at Target, fine. But if I present you with something that shows that a certain store might be better in this regard or carry a better product, or a certain restaurant cooks something, better, and there's enough reviews to, support that, you can still prefer who you want to prefer. But quit with this, arguing with facts and, can't never be wrong. Like that pisses me off about black people, man. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. But to say, I'm not going back to that, but to say your whole life the SEC has dominated, that's not true. Me and you,
it's not. And see, that's the problem I had. Like, you say stuff like that, and it's not true, and that exposes that. Oh, you just arguing with your heartstrings and what you feel versus what reality is.
Because, like I said, Neil, I don't know you. You probably a cool guy. Like, I probably met you, through Alex coming to y'all games, but. We were born in the same year, and I just gave you the breakdown of all the national championships since we've been born and we've been alive, and that's not the case. It's not the case. I know. This is not the case. And I'm actually, glad it's kind of getting back to what it was when we were children, because it is parity. It is an open playing field. Yes, you're going to still have the top-heavy guys that win a lot, but you're going to have teams that make a come up and have an upswing. I want to see, just me being a football guy, personally, I want to see, my guys, you get back on top. I want to see Florida State be competitive. I want to see USC get back to being competitive, just because that's what I grew up seeing. I want to see that. I love to see.
Hell, I want Nebraska to be a top 10 team again, but it's not gonna happen. Like you said, some things you just have to accept, and people are not looking at what's happening before our eyes. I didn't say anything earlier, but see, DeJuan full of shit, because he's not, excuse my language, he's not coming on here because he don't want no backlash today, and it's been proven that his Roll Tide didn't deserve to be in the playoff. And this goes to him and my cousin Bernard down there in Birmingham. It's proven. Okay? And when I told y'all, I told DeJuan what was going to happen this year. I said, if they lose another game, we were talking about this, me and him on social media. I said, if they lose another game in these last three stretch, whether it's LSU, Oklahoma, or the Iron Bowl, they're not getting in. On what happened? They had a horrendous loss to Oklahoma. They did not get in.
And they shouldn't.
I said before the season started. Actually, I said this before Nick Saban retired. And y'all know this, and this, anybody can quote this and go back and find this in my work. I said when he retired, Alabama was going to go back to the Sean Alexander days where 8-4, 9-4 was going to be, a good season.
You definitely said that earlier. That was actually last season you said that.
And it happened in year one. I didn't even expect it to happen necessarily in year one.
Well, I kind of did. It's you can't lose one of the greatest college football coaches ever and think you're gonna right the ship unless you get a guy that's just as good as him or on the upswing. It doesn't happen that way. It never. Look how long it took for Florida State to win after Bobby Bowden. You don't replace an icon that fast. It doesn't happen that way.
That was a great one, John. Big John, I ain't gonna hold you. That was a great one. That was a great one right there.
Unless you find the heir apparent that you say, okay, this the second coming. I got it. And
Florida State made a huge mistake by not keeping Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, that was the worst thing they could do.
Whatever he wanted, whether it was the upgrade in facilities or whatever, they should have found a way to do. Because Mike Norvell ain't it.
The guy that had before him wasn't it.
No, Willie Taggart wasn't it either.
So it happens. So even in year one, you lose a Nick Saban. Like, not to be funny, even looking at it NFL level, and I know Tony gonna appreciate this. Losing Nick Saban is like losing Bill Belichick. Yes, we like Mayo and he's a black man and we want him to succeed, but you can't replace that much of an iconic coach and think you're going to have success the next following year. That doesn't happen. Even in year one, Alex, you may not have thought it was going to happen in year one, but it's not far off. Like, you don't replace.
I didn't see him losing 4. I saw 2 or 3, but it makes sense. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I mean, because just the operation and how Nick Saban ran things.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't care who you brought in there. Replacing a legend is always hard. I don't even know what the guy's name is at Duke right now. This coaching, speaking of college hoops, but God bless his heart, I wouldn't have wanted the job of replacing Coach K.
He's actually doing good though.
Yeah, but
he's
always gonna be prepared.
He's doing good right now because of the name, and kids have seen Duke winning, so they're gonna want to go to Duke just for the name and just for the credibility. But if he ever falters, that's gonna go away real quick.
He already got a top recruit.
I feel like he's already faltered. Fine, but he got to start posting Final Fours and winning national championships to uphold the Duke.
Bro, they was in the Elite Eight last year, bro.
And that's cool. But
that's
even
1 year, man.
But even like I
said,
year prior, this is the second year.
The year prior, didn't he get knocked out in the first or second round?
Second round.
And even with that,
and that's my whole. I'm gonna let you go, Big John. That's my whole thing. When you start talking about the individuals that we just named, we're talking about sustained excellence and sustained success. Don't quote me one season and say that means
bro. You're
anything.
Not giving them time, Al. You just said it yourself. It's only been 2 seasons.
And so, what have you done for me lately?
He got up to the Elite Eight in the second season.
Oh, all right.
That's an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment. Give him his credit. That's an accomplishment.
I remember John Thompson III got Georgetown back to the Final Four.
Okay, and he got
wasn't able to sustain it.
Well, that's gonna be. Let's see. Let's give him time if he do it.
That's what I'm saying. We ain't even giving these new guys time right now.
Hubert Davis made a run at North Carolina.
These guys in the past had plenty of time. They were giving grace.
And
they
it's
were
crazy
giving these things. They were bringing in these recruits. We gotta give him grace.
Me and Al kind of talked about that. They not giving grace right now for the simple fact
ain't no grace going on.
Even though they did it when they gave it time, but even with Harbaugh was losing. He was getting his butt kicked, not just to Ohio State. He was losing to Penn State, he was losing to Michigan State.
They was getting wiped.
He was getting beat up real bad. Until he got his guys in there, he got his program in there. He had to keep pubbing. He had to keep taking his kids overseas and showing how cool it was. Come back to Michigan, and they started winning games. And they started doing what they were supposed to do. But they allowed him time. You got to allow these coaches time to do it. All right, and I agree. But like I said, but going back to what we were saying, even on the basketball tip, what I was trying to say, even with the men's version, and even Michael Jordan cracked a joke about UConn's men's basketball. We know the women has sustained greatness in UConn, but the boys have been terrible. They had to find not recently. Let me finish what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the 2 back-to-back championships they have now.
I'm not talking about that either.
Even right after they got that one, but then that gap to where they were losing, where they weren't the same UConn.
No, Jim Calhoun won 2 at UConn too.
Calhoun is the base. I'm talking about they won another one right after him with the black guy. Then after that,
Kevin Ollie.
And then after that, they had a stretch where they weren't winning. That's my point.
That stretch was only 2 years, bro.
2 years.
It wasn't long, John. I get what you're saying, but
I would get what you're saying, but it wasn't
long. Once they got back to the Big East, it seemed like recruiting went right back and whatever. And honestly, like you said, they hired the right dude. You can't overlook that. What's his name? Dan Hurley?
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't that long of a stretch of losing, but it was longer than 2 years.
No, it wasn't, bro. I'm telling you, it wasn't longer than 2 years, bro.
Even if it was longer, certain schools aren't going to let their flagship program dip too long. Now, UConn is funny because you can have the argument and say, who's the flagship program? Maybe they should just say the basketball program in general. Talk about men's and women there, because Gino is something else. On that women's side.
We can call him a
Now,
goat. We can call him a goat. I ain't even gonna hold
now I'm not gonna lie. I was more of a Pat Summit
I know you old
person
school. You with the
than than,
old. You was with
than
the
I
original.
was a Gino guy. Well, but them girls she used to have in Tennessee, man. Yeah, and I'm not saying obviously Gino's had dogs, at UConn. Kind of make you salty, man, because I really would have liked to have seen what Gigi did at UConn. I think she would have been right up there with the Diana Taurasi's and Maya Moores and Rebecca Lobos and all of that.
Right.
God rest Gigi's soul. Nate, you ain't talking about them Knicks though. That's what killed me.
Oh, I was waiting for you to pick it up. I was
You
waiting for you
ain't
to bring
talking
it up.
about them Knicks and how many games they done won in a row and the big cat
The
out
Knicks.
there.
Hold on. I told you at the beginning of this season. I said, who are the two most dangerous teams? I said it's gonna be the Knicks. My other one wrong because I said Phoenix. But the Knicks was the other team I said that's gonna give my Celtics a problem.
Mikael Bridges dropping 40 on Christmas Day, 41, excuse me to be
41. I
exact.
better say you said that all wrong.
I just mean 40 in general. It was up there with one of the most epic MSG.
But that got him going though, because he wasn't shooting too well prior to that game. That got him going.
He wasn't, but I don't think that whatchamacallit, I'm having a brain fart. Tibbs was actually running plays for Mikael Bridges at
No,
the beginning of the
he
year.
wasn't. Because he was only using Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. He was running a 2-man game for a while.
You got to let your guys play.
I'm gonna say this. Ogunjobi ain't happy. He ain't getting enough touches.
Ogunjobi, you mean OG?
Yeah, OG Ananobi, whatever his name is. Yeah, he's not getting
Ananobi.
enough touches. He's upset about it.
Man, we got 82 games to work that out. And by the way, tell me, Nate, because you the basketball guy, tell me what the deal is with this Lakers trade, because I have no idea who either of these two guys are.
Who did they get for D'Lo? I didn't even see who they got for D'Lo.
My point exactly. So we can just skip it because.
Because I know they was upset with D'Lo. D'Lo was not productive. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, well.
I mean, that's typical.
JJ Redick don't like nobody but LeBron anyway, so.
I don't even think it's that. It's the production of D'Lo turning the ball over.
I do think it's that. And, yes, he's one of those guys, speaking of D'Lo, that you take the good with the bad. But it's like when you trade somebody like that, and a former All-Star and a guy that still has elite talent, yes, some of the other things.
They got a pick for him.
Now, you know what's funny is I got Neo calling me right now. Hold on. What's up, brother?
Yeah, what's up? We got beef or something? What's going on with you?
We on the podcast right now, so I'm gonna have to
Neil,
call
we
you
live, man. What
you
you
back,
doing?
brother.
All right, you should have picked up the phone then. Go ahead, call me back.
I only answered because it was you, so that ought to answer your question. But all right, brother. Yeah, Cats is funny, man.
But
He said we got
with
beef or
D'Lo, what they
something.
doing
I'm like,
is
man, get off my phone, brother.
I know what the Lakers are doing now. They're clearing cap space. So they got them two guys. They know after this season, them guys ain't gonna be there. Them two spots voided. They picked up a draft pick because in the next year they wasn't gonna have no draft pick. Then they also They're probably not going to re-sign Vanderbilt. It's another body that's going to be gone. So they go try to dumb down the money. They go keep Bronny.
Ah!
They go keep Bronny, which is biased, which is something they're doing because of the daddy there. I think LeBron only got 1 year left. Everybody thought I was like, bro, nah, he paying about 2-3 more. No, he's not. He's playing 1 more
Who
year.
said that?
Sit down.
Like I'm a LeBron. I like LeBron, but I ain't even say that. He ain't no 2 or 3 nothing.
I think your brother might have said it to me, to be honest.
Like he got 1.5 ish. No, he got 1.
People jump down my throat when I say pause. What should happen with LeBron James and everything. And again, that's the whole, because again, like we just talked about earlier, I'm looking at it from a Los Angeles Lakers fan perspective, or what's best for the organization. I don't care nothing about catering to one guy, particularly over the age of 40, when yes, he's still a great player, fighting Father Time better than any basketball player I've ever seen. But at the end of the day, if you're being objective about it, he's seen the best years of his career already too.
Mm-hmm.
And the
I don't
chances
see
of
another ring. There's no more rings for him.
that's what I'm saying. Like the chances of you winning the championship with LeBron at this point are, slim to none, in my opinion. I believed a couple years ago, but see now he does have a no trade clause, in his contract. So you pretty much stuck with him.
Yeah, you stuck with him. And he got 2 more years on it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna give him a year.
Yeah. So I
Anthony
don't
Davis
see it.
is gonna retire right after him.
I think injuries might make AD have to retire.
Hey,
Injuries will put him in the junkyard too.
Oh wow.
Because at the end of the day, he still can't stay healthy.
But that's all I wanted to talk about really today. Fellas, we don't have to make it linger. Does everybody believe that the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win a national championship?
They should.
They should win it.
I think their toughest task is going to be this next game. No, I'm not saying that. I believe.
I don't trust Texas corners. They were fried rice in that game, man. They were fried
But like
rice.
I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm not really that wrong, I said this was going to be the national championship, Ohio State versus Texas. Well, it's not the national championship; it's the national semifinal, though.
Yeah.
So they both made it. Marcus Freeman put up a couple tough games against Ohio State when they played those back-to-back years, and we know James Franklin knows Ohio State, so those players wouldn't be scared of him. But yeah, I'm still picking the Buckeyes to claim victory. It'd be funny if that happens, a topsy-turvy year. If let's say they do take care of business and win, should Ryan Day go to the NFL?
I think he might lose. I think he might leave just because he thinks he might be done.
Unless you getting, like I said, because Harbaugh got a job that necessarily wasn't a bad job going to the Chargers because you had the quarterback and they were a decent team. The only thing you had to do was make a couple.
But where would Ryan Day go?
That's what I'm saying. Unless he gets a job.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of opportunities out there. The Bears, potentially the Browns. Who knows?
Nobody wants to go. What he say? Nobody wants to go to Cleveland. But
who wants
y'all
to go
say
to
that, but that's still 32 of the most coveted jobs on the planet.
But it's like, okay, the Bears may have a good setup for him to go, but the Bears just for some reason they just can't get right. But yeah, unless it's a job.
What you mean a good setup? Ain't no such thing in Chicago as a good setup.
I said maybe. But what I'm saying is,
Go block in Chicago, John.
with the young quarterback that they have pieces around him, and they have a good coach. Right now, the Bears' problem is coaching.
And he set some career worst rookie marks for not just the Bears, for the NFL, period.
NFL,
and I find
period.
that funny that they did more in year one to invest in trying to make him successful than they did in 4 years with Justin Fields there. And that's what you got. But go ahead.
Yeah. So unless he gets a job that he can kind of like put his imprint on a covenant and actually do some damage with, I wouldn't leave. Why would you leave? Why would you leave a Ferrari to drive a Pacer? Like, why would you do that?
That Pacer
Because of the pressure, because of the expectation, and because you could win a national championship this year, and you're still going to be judged by what you do in that last Saturday in November.
And that's fine, but in the NFL, you got 2 to 3
And that
years.
Pacer might have a turbo like my car did.
That's fine. But in the NFL, just like Alex said, those are the standards at Ohio State, and that's fine. But you know and I know in NFL, you get 2 years, maybe 3, and you gone if you don't do nothing. And that's every NFL team. That's not one. That's all of them. Even if you coach in Jacksonville, even if you coach in the Carolina Panthers, you get 2 years to do something, and you out. So even
if he going to take the job,
if he wins, like you said, if he wins this national championship, he'll get a little bit more rope in Columbus. You ain't gonna get that rope in the NFL if you don't win in 2 years. You're not gonna get that rope. And if you
he
go
loses, I understand what you're saying. But just like I was trying to explain to you, and you didn't understand what I was saying, even as a football guy.
You keep saying that, and I understood it.
If you compared it to Miami and Florida State, you don't understand.
But I'm see you're talking about rivalry games. Period. I understand what you're saying. I'm not comparing it to no other rivalry. I'm just saying I understand what you're saying. But like I said, if he wins this national championship, he's gonna get some more rope. You get, like I said,
as Urban Meyer said, it's the greatest rivalry in all of sport, not just college football. So Ohio State fans are never going to accept losing to that team up north.
You fine, but like I said, they can talk all that stuff they want, but a national championship is going to put a Band-Aid over that at least for a couple of days. But like I said, he goes to the NFL. He goes to the NFL. Say he goes to the Bears. He don't win nothing in 2 years. They're going to get fired. He's gone. Then you ain't coaching at Ohio State, or you ain't coaching in Chicago.
He'll be fine regardless.
Money-wise, of course he'll be fine. Nobody's debating that. But if you want to keep a job and you want to keep him stay employed, I'm not leaving unless I know for sure that this is going to be the job for me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. They still have 2 more hurdles to climb, and it will be one of the best redemption stories in recent years in sports and college football. And the 12-team playoff does allow you a little time to grow. Now, as I said, I think it did the opposite of what people were saying it would. It actually lessened the importance of some regular season games because you do get mulligans like that. In previous years, that would have disqualified Ohio State, not just from the Big Ten championship race, but potentially from the playoff. Now you're in a point where you can actually lose to that team up north and still, compete for a national championship. Whether that's a good or bad thing, that's up for interpretation. But, that's where we're at.
It's a different conversation.
Yes. So remember to check out the audio episodes if you're not able to catch the live stream or watch on YouTube. Available on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate the love and support. We'll be back for season 5 real soon. It's your boy, I Am Farrell, checking out with the Brown Bruce Wayne, Big John, and Will West, the best Nate. We'll try and do it better.
For sure.